Welcome back to the Brick by Brick broadcast, where we turn confusion into clarity and we build purpose-driven momentum one brick at a time. My name is Olatunde Akinwunmi. Today we're going to be doing something really different, right? I'll be answering a few questions I've encountered in my coaching room during sessions. These questions are from real people like you who have asked, right? And the questions bordering on learning, on balance, personality, purpose. In this session, I'm going to be answering the questions directly. Think about it like sitting down together for a coaching conversation. No fluff, absolutely no fluff at all. And no cliches, just honest, practical answers you can take and begin to apply immediately. So let's get into it. Right, so the first question I have here is something that's, someone who I had a session with asked me. He says that I didn't grow up reading books early. Now I'm an adult and I want to start, but it feels overwhelming and frustrating. How do I actually build a learning habit from scratch? So I'll take it again. Say I didn't grow up reading books early. Now I'm an adult. I want to start, but it feels overwhelming and frustrating. How do I actually build a learning habit from scratch? So here's the thing. When it comes to habits, there's a factor of time, right? So it takes time to build habits. So the problem that most people have is that when there's something that they would like to, a habit that they would like to build, they feel like it's supposed to happen in one fell swoop. You're supposed to just automatically, so it builds up. And for a habit like learn or reading, right, it has taken you a long time to get to where you are now, but you can move beyond that. So if I was going to advise you, if I was going to counsel you, if I was going to tell you anything, it would be that you should be patient with yourself, right? Reading is a habit that develops from curiosity. So the question I would ask you first of all is, what are you curious about? Now, that's where you would start from. You start gradually from things that naturally pique your curiosity. You don't just start reading books. And in fact, this person in question really, really does well academically. So, he always said that in school he was reading, he came out tops in everything. But suddenly after school, he lost the motivation to continue reading. And I said, well, I think that it's also because, the mindset you had was just to read and pass exams, right? Right now, you need to be able to find things that actually pique your curiosity, things that you are curious about, right? And then I would also say something, and that would be reframing the idea. We know this quote about readers, only readers become leaders. I hope I got it correctly, right? I'll reframe that to say that only learners become leaders. And here's why I'm saying that. We now live in a world where, we are bombarded digital devices, right? And that has also significantly reduced our attention span. So for people who did not already have, the reading culture, now they have to grapple with the fact that they're on their phones 24/7, right? And if the research is correct, it says that our attention span is about 8 seconds. So we are moving from one thing. And so that has also fragmented our attention. So if you say you want to start reading books, then you would find it difficult because it's not something that you are used to, right? But I also want to say that you're already learning a lot. You're already reading a lot. The question is that you are reading things in a haphazard way. You're learning things in a haphazard way. So my reframe would be that you should move that idea of reading and turn it into learning. And that automatically now expands your options. So you're not just looking at books as the primary source of reading. You are looking at things like YouTube videos, right? You're looking at articles. You're looking at even Instagram videos, things that, that are interesting to you. And so you look at them and you read or you listen to them, you watch them, things that are very short, 10 minutes, 8 minutes, 15 minutes, or you are taking courses, right? Courses are things that you want to learn. There's a particular skill you would like to develop. And so you have taken out time, to take a course. And that course may be 2 hours, it may be 10 hours. But because it's something that you are you are interested in, right? You create the time to watch it. You create for, and so these things are not necessarily reading, but they are learning, right? Learning also means that when you are having a conversation with somebody and there's something that, you find, worth learning from, you learn from it, right? You hire a coach that now moves you, expands the potential that you have, helps you to clear the obstacles in your thinking and all of that and all of that. That is learning, right? So what I think should be most important to you is learning rather than reading, even though reading is a form of learning, right? I'm saying that because I don't want you to get stuck on the fact that, if I'm not reading, then it means that I'm not learning, right? So in fact, in the age of AI that we are now, AI too is another form that we can learn and learn very fast, right? So first of all, I would say that you should look for something that piques your curiosity, something that you are genuinely interested in, right? And if you are genuinely interested in something, then there'll be the motivation to, do it would be there, because you don't want to rely on your willpower. And then expand the scope of your thinking. It shouldn't just be limited to reading. It should be learning. And if you are learning, then there are various ways. If you are listening to a podcast, that's learning. If you are watching a video, that's learning. If you are benefiting from a coach, a mentor, any other a subject matter expert, you're having conversations, that is learning, right? But if you absolutely must build that habit of reading, then I would say you should start small, right? Start with baby steps, right? Discipline yourself to read maybe 5 minutes a day or 10 minutes a day. Open a book, block out all of the distractions, read it. But it has to be a book that you are interested in again. It has to be something that you are interested in. So block out that time, do it. Don't try to want to read for 2 hours in one day and then the next day you don't do it. So start small, because you want to build momentum gradually. So start small, read for 10 minutes, celebrate your win. The next day you come again, read for 10 minutes. Get used to taking all of those baby steps, and you are celebrating yourself as you are doing it. And then before you know it, you start increasing the time from 10 minutes to get up to 15 minutes and so on and so forth. So basically that's what I would say to that person, right? So let's look at the next question. The next question says, I'm a high achiever, but I'm worried I'm spending so much time working now that I won't have time left to actually enjoy my life. How do I balance ambition with rest and fulfillment? This is a very great question, because it borders around work-life balance, which is a subject that many people are interested in, right? And here's what I would say to that person. In my opinion, I think that the concept of work-life balance is a false dichotomy. And here's what I mean. If we're talking about balance, really, right, let's imagine a table, for instance. 2 legs will not balance a table, right? So if you're looking at life only through the lens of work, is either work or life, then there's a problem, right? So I would like to expand your thinking and include two other things. So let's say there's work, there's life, there's love, and there's health, right? So when you think about life within those 4 frames, it expands the scope of your thinking, and you begin to realize that life is not just about work and life. Rather, yes, work and life. And then you now begin to understand that beyond your work and beyond what you call your life, right, the perspective you have about life, there's also your health. There's also your relationships, which fall under love, right? And so if you are looking at all of those things holistically, you would look at them more from a point of view of a portfolio. So if you're an investor, you know that you have a portfolio where you have different stocks, right? So at every point in time, you can have, maybe you're buying Apple stock, you're buying Microsoft, you're buying GT Bank, you have a portfolio of stock, really. And one day there'll be one that is going to make a lot of profits. Another time there'll be one that may not necessarily make profits, and it's, maybe there's a loss or is stagnant, basically. But on the long run, if you have picked the right stock, then you would make profits, right? Some would win, some would lose, but you make profit eventually. So if you are looking at life through work, life, love, and health, then you would now begin to, look at the, what's the word now? The situation of your life, the context of your life at every given point in time. And that means that there'll be points in your life where you need to pay attention more to your work, right? And so in that season of your life, that is all that matters to you. You prioritize your work, right? And then you'd also move seasons, and there'll be a time when you'd need to invest more in the quality of your relationships, and you do that. It doesn't necessarily mean that your work no longer takes priority. It just means that at that particular point in time in your life, the relationships, take precedence, right? Or it's your health. And by health, it's not just your physical health, it's your spiritual health, it's your emotional health, right? Or, so basically just look at life through the eyes of a portfolio, and that you have different aspects of your life, and that some would be high, some will be low, some will be minimum, but at the end of the day, eventually you want to win as a whole, right? And that at every point in time in your life, there are different seasons of your life that things will take priority. And in that time, so that stock of your life is making profit. At another time, it loses a little, right? Because you have to focus on something else, So don't look at life through the lens of work and life alone. I hope this answers your question. The next one, I think, would stop here for today. If you have questions, I'm going to leave a link in the description, so you can always send questions to me, and I'll do my best to, pick and answer the best ones online. And I hope that you do that. So check in the link in the description. You'd find how to send in your questions. So this one says, I think I'm a people pleaser. I struggle to say no, and people often take advantage of me. Unlike my younger sibling, I'm quiet and don't like speaking in public. How do I build confidence and boundaries without becoming someone I'm not? Okay, so this, let me say here that every one of us comes with a hard wiring, right? So you are not, first of all, you are not disadvantaged, right? You are not disadvantaged. It's also not, you don't have a problem. Your personality plays a very huge role in how you navigate yourself in the world, how you situate yourself in the world, and how you navigate through life, right? And if I was going to guess, I would guess that you are an agreeable person. You're a very agreeable person, and that means that you would, want to agree with people so that you don't have conflict, right? And so if you know anything about personality, you would know that, okay, I would use the Big Five personality, to explain this very well. The Big Five personality it's an acronym called OCEAN, right? And there are 5 dimensions. There's openness to experience, there's conscientiousness, which is hard work, openness to experience, creativity, and your ability to be able to, open yourself up to learn, new things. And then there's agreeableness. There's also neuroticism, OCEAN, OCEA. So openness to experience, conscientiousness, which is hard work and diligence, orderliness. And then there's extraversion. Yes, I missed that out. Extraversion. And then there is agreeableness. And then there's neuroticism. Neuroticism, negative emotion. So if we'll single out agreeableness, because that's what this question is all about, agreeableness and perhaps extraversion, right? So agreeableness just simply means, your ability to be, polite and, want to please people and all of that. Extraversion too also has to deal with, your enthusiasm, your ability to want to interact with people. So for some people, they prefer their inward, their interaction is mainly with themselves and not with the world. So you find that those people will prefer to sit in than to go out for parties, for instance. So those people on that scale, so this is a scale, all of the things I'm saying is a scale. So people fall along different dimensions. So if you're an agreeable person, there's a degree of agreeableness that you have, right? It could be high, and for some people it could be low. And people who are very low are the people who are disagreeable, criminals, people, if you're a 3% disagreeable person, for instance, you don't agree. That is your tendency, is never to agree with anybody. You're constantly, stimulating conflict. And also, I think that you are an agreeable person. I also think that in terms of extraversion, you are more introverted than you are extroverted, right? And those dimensions are not necessarily bad things. They have disadvantages and they have advantages, right? Because as someone who is very agreeable, it means that you have a tendency, if you're a woman, for instance, you'd be very motherly, because women need agreeableness to be able to cater and to, take care of the young ones, right? But it also means that you would also be on the losing end many times when you are negotiating, right? And so that means that you have to be able to assert yourself. You have to assert yourself. And assertiveness can be learned, right? Just as, extraversion. So the thing is that because it's a degree, you will not just flip from being someone who is agreeable to become disagreeable. But you can move dimensions. You can learn how to disagree with people. You can assert yourself, right? You can assert yourself. You can also learn how to speak up more in public, which is, you talked about the fact that you don't like speaking in public, you're quiet. You have to learn it. So at first it's going to be difficult because it's something that you are not used to, something that goes against your nature, right? But if you understand the value of what you would get or the disadvantage of sitting still and losing out on the things that you're not speaking up is causing, or the fact that you are pleasing people too much is causing, then perhaps that should be a motivation for you, right? So if you know that, okay, because I constantly please, people are always dumping on me, I'm constantly trying to please people, right? Or I don't speak up when I'm supposed to be speaking up, therefore I'm losing. That should be motivation enough for you to learn. So look for courses, take courses on assertiveness, hire a coach, look for someone who's going to teach you, how to assert yourself more, how to speak up more in public. And then in terms of confidence, I would say that when it comes to confidence, right? Confidence is not something that you can exactly learn because it's something that is at your core, right? But the way for you to build confidence is by taking action on a lot of the things that you want to do. Take action. Confidence comes in motion when you are doing things because we have what is called a concept of ourselves. Well, that forms your identity, right? You have ideas about yourself in your head, right? And the more ideas you have about the things that you have done successfully, the more your confidence builds up. If you have done a lot of things successfully, in your head, those ideas form because every time something comes up, you're like, okay, I did this. Okay, let's take, for instance, it's a very good example. I just remembered it now. In the Bible, if you're a Christian or you are a person of faith, you know that story about David in the Bible. The Bible said that he killed a bear and he killed a lion. So when he confronted Goliath, the thing he said was like, oh, I killed a bear and I killed a lion. Those were ideas, right? And so 2 idea now empowered him to be able to take the next step, right? He had the confidence because he had done it before, right? So if you're trying to build confidence, you have to start thinking. And every one of us have situations where we did something that was confident. So think about all of the times that you did things that were confident, right? Begin to reinforce those ideas in your head, first of all. Think about all of the things that you know that you want to do, in your life. Begin to take steps, no matter how little. Begin to take steps. You would falter at first. You may be afraid at first, but fail forward. Just do the things. The more you keep doing things, the more ideas you have in your head about, okay, I am someone of value. I'm someone who can take steps in the direction of my dreams and my desires. I have a lot of ideas about myself as a successful person, as someone who is confident enough to be, to take action. The more you have all of those ideas, the more your identity begins to form as someone who is confident. And before you know it, automatically you just start becoming a confident person. So I hope that this answers your questions for today. Like I said, I would be willing to do this, from time to time. So please send in your questions. Check in the description. You'd find a link to send me your questions, and I'll do as many questions as I can do. Till next time we see, have a wonderful day. This is the Brick by Brick broadcast again with Olatunde Akinwunmi. Take care and good night.
This now, Brick by Brick broadcast. Live your full potential on purpose.